Good evening, SportsZone. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aglioloro. I am your host for this is Sports Zone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. We got a good show for you tonight. We should be joined by both Dave Hastings and Erich in a matter of moments. We are 4 days away from Erich's wedding, which we will both be attending, which I'm sure we will talk about at some point tonight. But other than that, we got a lot to talk about in the world of sports. Sure, we will be talking a little bit. Eric and Dave will probably be talking a little bit about the NCAA tournament. We had selections Sunday, 2 days ago, so we'll probably get into that. We got more NFL free agency stuff to talk about. The Cowboys just signed Randall Cobb to a new one-year deal. Last week after we went off the air, Le'Veon Bell signed a 4-year deal with the New York Jets. Giants wound up signing Golden Tate to be their number one receiver last week as well. I don't really want to say he replaces Odell Beckham Jr. because obviously, there is a step down, but I thought that was a good move for the Giants because I've never been the biggest Golden Tate guy, but at the very least he's become a legitimate number one wide receiver in a lot of people's eyes. So I think that was a good move for them. So we got that. Baseball-wise, the Yankees just signed Gio Gonzalez to a one-year contract yesterday, so I'm sure we will be talking about that with Derek. And we got some rules changes to talk about. A lot of the rule changes that baseball announced will go into effect for this season in 2020 had come up a couple months ago, and we were going to talk about it on the air. But then, of course, the 1 week that unfortunately I missed happened, and we never really wound up getting to talk about them. So I do intend to kind of talk about them tonight because, for the most part, I think the rule changes aren't too bad. If we look at it right here, there's going to be, for many years in baseball, they basically had two trading deadlines. You have the non-waiver trading deadline on July 31st, and then teams could make waiver wire deals up until August 31st. And there will only be one trading deadline starting this year, and it will be on July 31st. Players can still be placed on and claimed from outright waivers as they would normally, but there's no longer going to be any pulling the player back and trying to negotiate a deal with the team who claimed them. You would normally have 48 hours to try to negotiate that sort of a deal. That's not going to happen anymore. I've always kind of liked the fact that there were two trading deadlines, but I guess it does make sense for them to only be one. That was never really something I was that much opposed to, so you have that. All-star voting will be conducted by fans online, but the top 3 players at each position in each league will now participate in an all-star election day. Top 3 vote getters at each position in each league. Top 6 in the case of outfielders will receive bonus pays. Home Run Derby now comes with $2.5 million in prize money, including a $1 million prize for the winner. Maximum number of mound visits per game will be reduced from 6 to 5. Commercial breaks between innings are reduced to 2 minutes in length for all games, which is a good thing. MLB and MLB Players Association will form a joint committee to discuss further issues and rule changes. So, to my way of thinking, nothing really seismic there. And then you get into the rule changes that are going to be implemented starting next year. Standard roster size in regular season games and postseason games goes from 25 to 26. Beginning on September 1st, normally the rosters would expand to include everybody on the 40-man roster. That's never going to happen again because the roster spot size will only expand to a 28-player maximum. Maximum number of pitches. Pitchers will be designated by the joint committee. Supposedly, it's going to be 13. No more than 13. That's what I have heard. But apparently, the proposal is that could be no more than half the team's players. So I guess after it goes up to 28, it will be but after September 1st, it would probably be 14. So there's that, which isn't the worst thing in the world. My honest opinion is I think the roster should be 28 players normally. I was kind of hoping they would do that. I think the roster should be expanded to 28 players the whole season and don't have any player roster expansion on September 1st. Just make it 28 the whole time. Maybe you do something where only 26 can dress per game, but that's the only thing I would like to see. But anyway, position players are only eligible to pitch in extra innings or when a team is leading or trailing by 7 or more runs. Certain position players may be designated as two-way players, but to be eligible, they'll need to have accrued at least 20 innings pitched and started 20 games as a position player, designated hitter in the current season or the preceding season. That's interesting. Including at least 3 trips to the plate in each of those lineup appearances. I got to be honest, I would need a little more expansion on that one to be able to really talk about it because the way I'm reading that kind of doesn't make any sense. But anyway, and here's the rule I'm somewhat against, truthfully. Pitcher must face at least 3 batters per appearance unless he is removed due to the injury or the half inning in which he is pitching ends before 3 batters have come to the plate. I don't like that one, truthfully, but we'll get into that hopefully in a little while because now we are joined by Dave Hastings. Dave, how you doing tonight, bro?
Doing all right, Mike. Doing all right. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Awesome.
Yep. So how was your day, sir?
Not bad, man. The reason I'm a little late is I took Mom to go see Captain Marvel, so I just got out of that.
Nice. I took my mother to see that last Sunday, actually. So what did you think of it?
I mean, I thought it was good. It wasn't as good as I was kind of hoping for, but I think I always have a hard time remembering that, the origin movies are always tend to be kind of a little slow paced at times because they got to develop the character. I think the original Iron Man's the only origin movie out of all the characters that I truly loved. So,
well, to me, I would put Guardians in that category too, because I consider Guardians to be an origin story too. So.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed Guardians as well. I mean, I guess because of the team up factor of it, I didn't really look at it as much that way. But obviously, how they all get together and everything. Yeah, it's fair to count that as an origin story. That's for sure. And
I want to make one thing known. You and me had a running gag for a while. We didn't really agree on certain movies. You and me actually kind of agree on Captain Marvel. Because I liked the movie. I thought it was decent. Like, I was engaged the whole time. But, yeah, this ain't a top 10 Marvel movie for me.
Well, yeah, I think when you compare it to the other ones, I also think part of it's adjusting, kind of how you had to do with Guardians is adjusting to the extra level of sci-fi to it.
Yeah.
All the superhero movies have a level of sci-fi to them, but, just like Guardians and Captain Marvel with, the different planets and the different races and you got to kind of mentally adjust to that because if unless you grew up a big Star Wars and Star Trek fan, some of that stuff really isn't anything you're too used to.
True. I was a Star Trek fan as a kid, so that part didn't really I don't know. I've always been fine with certain sci-fi elements, but I definitely get what you're saying, though. I'll tell you this though: are you an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan at all?
I do enjoy the show. It got a little last season was a little weird for me.
I liked last season. I thought it was pretty good. I think the season finales always wind up being very anticlimactic. That's how I felt about the last two. But the reason why I asked that, I thought bringing Clark Gregg back to play Phil Coulson, I thought he was totally wasted in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, he had all of maybe 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, maybe 3 lines. I thought it was horrible.
Yeah.
You made such a big deal about bringing him back, and then it's like you don't really do anything with him. That bothered me.
You did have to appreciate them referring to him as Rook.
Yeah, but what I would have liked to have seen, and I thought about this after the fact, how much would you have really lost if instead of it just being her and Sam Jackson doing like the buddy cop thing. You have like Phil Coulson in the background, and like he's not allowed to talk, but he's the rookie who just kind of tags along on the whole thing. Maybe he has like a moment or two in there. What would you have really lost in that?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think it would have added to it if you had him like that awkward third wheel where most of the time he's standing there quiet, awkward, not knowing what to do.
Like like, and I thought about this because I thought this would have been funny. The scene where she goes back to visit the Rambeau family, who I thought was very good. I thought the one who played the mom, I thought she was awesome. How funny would it have been if the scene where the adults are talking, you see Coulson sent outside of the room and he's with the kid. And she's just like, you'll get used to sitting at the kids' table. It's okay. Just things like that. I thought it would have been funny.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say they kind of missed an opportunity with how they used him. But then again, you never know what logistics go into it, you know, what his schedule, you know, I mean, maybe they had a different game plan and it just didn't work. You know, because from my understanding, this is his last, the newest season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that's coming out. I believe is supposed to be his last season. So, you know, he might have had other engagements or whatever it might be. But, yeah, they definitely – I would definitely agree they kind of missed an opportunity there to utilize him more. And, I mean, anything you've seen him in, whether it be the movies or the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, you know, the one thing you can always say is he's always reliable for that awkward, funny one-liner.
Oh, yeah.
And – you definitely could have used that a couple different times. But all in all, though, man, I enjoyed the movie. I mean, again, definitely wasn't as good as I was hoping, but definitely adds a nice piece to the Marvel Universe. And I think one of the things that, you know, if you're into the whole Marvel Universe about seeing it is, you know, you got to kind of accept the fact she's basically the future face of the Marvel Universe. They have major game plans to build around her and Black Panther and Spider-Man. So I think that's something that, you know, if you love the Marvel Universe, you have to take the time to see the movie, even if you don't go to theaters. You know, you still got to take the time to see the movie. And the cat was good. I was wondering how the hell, you know, what was going to happen, what made the cat so important. Everybody loved the cat. Everybody thought the cat was great. And I'm like, it's a freaking cat. What's the big deal? And then all of a sudden, you know, it starts doing what it does. And I'm like, okay, now I can see why everybody was so into the damn cat. You know, so I thought that was pretty cool. And, yeah, I mean, it also took kind of one thing, you know, I mean, without giving too much, it kind of changed part of the origin story of how S.H.I.E.L.D. and Samuel L. Jackson came across the Tesseract. So that part kind of confused me a little bit.
A little bit. I had to think about it myself, but I guess it kind of does make sense because what? Howard Stark finds the Tesseract at the end of Captain America, and then you don't see it for 30, 40 years, whatever many. So the net betting comes into it, and then he winds up because you just always kind of assume that Samuel L. Jackson gets it from S.H.I.E.L.D., but you never really know how he gets it. So I guess it does kind of line up from that perspective, but I was like you. It took me a few minutes to kind of piece that one together myself. So, but the cat, I'll say this for the large part of the movie, I was just like, the cat is basically just like the porgs in Last Jedi. They're useless. They contribute nothing to the story. And then that happened, and I was just like, all right, fine. But the ones who were coming out of the movie saying that the cat stole the movie, I'm just like, you guys need to let it. You guys need to let it.
Yeah, if you felt like the cat stole the movie, you didn't appreciate the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. So let's get into a little bit here. We'll talk some NFL free agency a little bit. To me, the highlights of the last week since we've been on here, we got Le'Veon Bell signed in the 4-year contract, $53 million, I think it was, with the Jets. You have Golden Tate going to the Giants. Kind of, sort of replacing Odell Beckham. I don't think you replace a guy like him, even though I think Tate is a good, legitimate number one wide receiver. I thought it was a good move. And then, within the last hour, Cowboys signed Randall Cobb to a 1-year deal to be the slot guy that Cole Beasley has been. What did you think about Randall Cobb to the Cowboys?
I mean, I think the bottom line with Cobb is if he can stay healthy, I still think he's one of the better slot wide receivers in the league. But the last 2 years, he hasn't been able to play more than, I think it's 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's really kind of a matter if he can stay healthy. And if he can, I think he's a nice addition to the offense. And I'm not going to sit here and act like he's leaps and bounds better than Beasley, nor Beasley leaps and bounds better than him. I think it's kind of almost a break even, and you save yourself almost $20 million. So, and you can't deny the fact they're probably going to draft a wide receiver as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think all in all, I like the signing. I mean, they made a couple other more low-key signings to add some depth to the defensive line. But Cobb as a whole, I'm good with the signing because bottom line is if he has any injury issues, it's not some major chunk of salary cap that he's taken up that it's going to hurt the team or put them in a situation where they really can't afford to, maybe make a move if they have to during the season to fill his spot if he does get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the signing. I think, again, if he can stay healthy, I think he has the potential to be one of the better slot wide receivers in the league. And putting him with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup going into his second year, I think you kind of have to like your 1-2-3 bunch at wide receiver for the Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the one thing I'll say about Cobb is, when he first started, I thought he was going to wind up being someone you'd consider a top 10 wide receiver in the league, and he kind of settled into more of being that slot guy who always needed a legitimate number one on the field to really have an impact. And, you put him with Cooper, I definitely think he got a shot at that. So there's that. I've always kind of looked at him as a bit of an underachiever myself. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do a little better here. You're going from Aaron Rodgers to Dak Prescott. That's not a knock on Dak, but I mean, when you go from the best quarterback in the league, you're not going to get a better quarterback to really perform with than that. So you got that. But anyway, I want to talk about this Le'Veon Bell signing real quick because this one, I guess, happened maybe 2 hours after we went off the air. So we always want to visit the good stuff, even though we had Beckham going. This one. So he holds out for the entire season. He supposedly had a bigger contract offer from the Steelers before the whole franchise thing happened last year. And then he settles into that one. I thought this was a pretty reasonable contract for the Jets, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and judge what he decided to do for what he believed at the time was the best decision for him and his future. I'm not going to, I can't hate on the guy for it. And, us average Americans that live paycheck to paycheck, all of us can have the biggest problem in the world with somebody being okay with giving up $14 million. And I get it. But bottom line is he did what he thought was best for him and his family. And in the long run, he still found the team willing to give him, a nice sized deal for the next couple of years of his career. And I think the Jets, when it comes down to the move for them, I think it's perfect. You put an experienced veteran running back who can do literally everything. He can catch, he can run, he can block, he can do everything you need from a running back. And you pair him up next to a second-year quarterback that you believe is your franchise guy. He's not going to do anything but make that team better. He's going to make Darnold better. He's going to make that offensive line look better. I mean, he's going to make that team look better and be better just by being on that team. And I think the Jets made a good move with the salary cap that they have. It's front loaded, so he hits 28 years old and looks like he's slowing down. They can get out of it with too much damage to their salary cap number. And I like the signing. I think it's a good move, and I think it's I'm excited for the idea that you get to see Le'Veon Bell back in the NFL because, let's be honest, the NFL is always better when the stars are on the field. That's why you don't watch a preseason game from kickoff to the final whistle. So I'm all for it. I'm cool. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the Jets because that's my, I guess you'd say second team that I root for. Only thing about it that bothered me is as a Cowboys fan, we got to play the Jets this year. So other than that, though, I'm definitely happy for my friends that are Jets fans, and I'm happy to see Le'Veon with a new team and a new opportunity to do crazy things that you really don't see many players in the league with the ability to do.
Yeah, I mean, overall, like you said, I thought it was a good deal for the Jets. He definitely, in my opinion, didn't get anywhere close to the contract that I think he was hoping for. I think he only landed like the third or fourth biggest deal ever for a running back, which I'm sure was not what he thought he was going to get when he held out. But I mean, you kind of said it perfectly. I think this helps out the Jets a whole lot. Um, would like to see them maybe add one more wide receiver there because Jamison Crowder is good, but I still don't look at them as a team that has like a legitimate number one wide receiver. Maybe add another offensive lineman there, but yeah, they're definitely going to be an improved team. Now we got two other deals that have been announced in the last hour or so. So Vontaze Burfict, released by the Bengals, signs a one-year deal with the Oakland Raiders, and then one that I guess was just announced. I didn't even know he was a free agent, to tell you the truth. Clay Matthews is now a member of the Los Angeles Rams on a 2-year deal. So let's talk about those for a minute because Clay Matthews won. Like, I never thought he was as great as everybody made him out to. But the fact that he leaves the Packers, goes to the Rams now, that's pretty good news right there.
Well, yeah, I think it continues with that trend of the Packers really trying to remake themselves for one more chance to make a run with Rodgers over the next few years. There were rumors that Matthews might not be with the team after this past season, and I think that all in all, it's really Green Bay trying to get younger, Green Bay trying to change what's been the culture of that franchise throughout the McCarthy years, and they're going to give it a run with a different style and different mentality, and realizing that the only piece that's basically untouchable is Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't see Devontae Adams going anywhere either, but I'm just saying the only piece that I would consider untouchable on that roster would be Rodgers. So I think that's kind of just another sign that they're really trying to put the McCarthy years behind them and move forward with another, hopefully one or two more runs at a Super Bowl while they have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it for the Rams. Really quick, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I like it for the Rams as well. It adds depth. It gives them some veteran experience, somebody that's been part of a championship run. And the bottom line is, when you look back at that Super Bowl, what cost them the game was, in the end, they weren't able to stop, Brady and that Patriots offense from moving down the field. So, I mean, they did an amazing job throughout the majority of the game, but at the end, that's basically what it came down to. And if you can give Wade Phillips more toys to play with, he's going to find ways to use them and put them in places where they can succeed. So Clay Matthews and Wade Phillips is probably a relationship that the NFL would have loved to have seen while Clay was in his prime. That's for sure.
Well said on that. Absolutely. And then you got Burkett going to the Raiders. I think this will be an interesting move just to see how the personalities mesh between Burkett and John Gruden over there. We know about Burkett's storied career, all the problems he's had, all the on-field kind of antics that have gone on, dirty plays and everything like that. How do you think he's going to fit in with John Gruden's Raiders, though, is my question.
See, that's the funny thing. When you phrase it as John Gruden's Raiders, I'm not sure how he'll fit.
Mm-hmm.
But when you just think about him in a Raider uniform in the silver and black, I mean, you go back to the 70s and 80s, man, would he not be the perfect Raider linebacker? I mean, come on.
Yeah,
he would have been the perfect Raider linebacker. So that's kind of where your split comes. Does Gruden kind of look at him and say, look, keep your ass out of trouble, but other than that, do your thing when you're on the field? Because there's no denying Vontaze Burfict is an NFL linebacker. He is very good. Problem is he can't get out of his own way. He can't control his mentality and his emotions when he's on the field, and he makes stupid choices that not only hurt his team in the game, but hurt him and the team in the long run due to suspension. So I think if he can keep his head, self out of trouble, that's a great signing at probably a low cost due to the issues that he's had on the field due to suspensions. But yeah, all in all, I think for Burfict and the Raiders, it could be a really good fit if he's able to stay out of trouble. Because I just thinking of the kind of player he is and how he plays the game, I just feel like the silver and black is perfect.
Mm-hmm. And I will say this: I think it's an impressive signing when you consider the whole Khalil Mack situation that happened last year. Them trading him for the draft picks, and then to be able to get a guy like Burfict to essentially replace him, and you get him for a 1-year low-cost deal. Really kind of a perfect replacement if you think about him. I don't think Burfict is as good as Mac is, obviously, because Mac's probably one of the top 3 or 4 defensive players in the game right now. But Burfict, to me, that's an adequate replacement right there, someone you can kind of build your defense around.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's definitely not on the level of Khalil Mack, but he'll be an upgrade from what they had this past season. And look, the bottom line is with everything the Raiders have done this past year, you're not going to know for another 3 or 4 years whether or not they made the right choices or wrong choices.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really that's what it comes down to. And if Gruden's able to find some of these, little pieces here and there to fill in spots and they're able to draft well, then all of a sudden the way Gruden handled this year and, his beginning of the tenure there in Oakland may make all the sense in the world, or 3 years from now they're trying to run him out of town because he basically sent the franchise back forever in a day. And Khalil Mack's slowly coming to the tail end of a Hall of Fame career, and Amari Cooper's averaging 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns a year. I mean, that's really how it's all going to be looked at. What do Cooper and Mack do in comparison to the draft picks that Oakland got for them?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's really what you're going to be looking at. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, when it comes down to Burfict, him in the silver and black just makes all the sense in the world to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, so we got that. Anything else stand out from free agency for you this week?
I know Bruce Irvin signed with the Panthers. I think that's an interesting signing just because what he might be able to do for them on in the pass rush game. And I think that's really at this point. Oh, and Dallas is in trades with Miami to trade for Robert Quinn, the pass rusher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had meetings with him and Eric Berry this week. I heard about it. I think they actually happened earlier today. So yeah, do you think we wind up getting either of those guys? Because I know Berry left the meeting with the Cowboys, and it didn't look there was any contract offer there.
Well, he left without a deal. I mean, that doesn't mean he left without a contract offer. He just left without a deal.
True.
So, I mean, I think it's and Randall Cobb left Dallas without a deal as well. And, less than 24 hours after he left, he has a deal, he signs a contract with him. So, I wouldn't read too much into either one of them leaving, but I mean, Miami's obviously trying to shop Quinn to get draft picks. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Dallas, trade, maybe a 2020 pick or 2020 pick to try and get Quinn. And that's the thing to me. It's all based on what they give up for the guy, because I think Quinn paired with DeMarcus Lawrence, and I think the two of them could be a pretty solid pass rush together. And it's the good thing with Dallas is they rotate their guys. So even though Quinn is a little older, he's somebody that, if he's rotated and can stay fresh, I mean, the guy's never in his career had less than 4 sacks in a season, and that includes seasons where he only played 6 games or 8 games in the season.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'd be a nice veteran presence to bring to that team, I think, because you have a couple guys on there like Lawrence is definitely getting to that veteran place right now, but for the most part, it's still a very young defense. So to bring a guy like Quinn in, and hey, Eric Berry, I would love to see on the Cowboys because we know safety's still been kind of an issue for them for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think Barry would be. I mean, it really depends on what his health is like. Because I mean, even Kansas City had him as a healthy scratch when he was cleared. So you know, you got to see what his health is like, and that's going to be a big deal for no matter what team. And I think Dallas also believes that with their first pick, I think it's the 58th overall pick. I think they believe with that pick there could be a safety available that could help them fill that need as well. So I mean, honestly, what's good for Dallas is, they filled basically all their major needs already. Defensive end and safety still are their biggest needs. And, knowing that that's what you're looking at, it lets you go into the draft where you don't have a first round pick with a little bit of a calmer mentality, knowing that you've got a lot of your roster already filled and you're looking for guys that, maybe aren't going to help impact your team that specific year, but maybe a year or two down the road to fill some of those veteran spots that'll open up.
Mm. Yeah, very true. I agree with you on that one. So, yeah. If you got nothing else, anything else you'd like to talk about football-wise here today?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. We'll switch to basketball real quick, and then I was kind of holding the tournament stuff for Erich to come on because I know you guys definitely a little more involved in that than I am. But basketball-wise, we can at least mention we're kind of winding down to the season now. We only got about 12, 13 games left for each team. Some of them only have about 10, 12 games left to go. And you look the way things are shaking out. You have the Bucks, the Raptors, and the 76ers kind of claiming spots in the Eastern Conference. And then you have the Warriors and Nuggets tied for the best record in the Western Conference. You look at the way all the playoff, at least teams are sizing up here. You have the Clippers looking like they're pulling ahead for that 8th seed with the Kings, Timberwolves, and Lakers in the very rear view mirror there. And then in the Eastern Conference, you have the Nets and the Heat kind of locked into the 7th and 8th seeds, and you have the Magic and the Hornets kind of pulling up the rear there as well. So anything basketball-wise you've seen over the last couple of weeks you'd like to bring up there, Dave?
I mean, honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is the Lakers blown game in New York where they had that huge block that took place.
Mm-hmm. Mario Hezonja.
Yeah, the amazing image that was captured of the same guy that blocked him, pointing at him and laughing. But I mean, honestly, man, I'm not really. I don't know, man. The NBA season hasn't. I'm waiting for the playoffs, basically. I mean, you're watching Golden State basically just stumbling through the last couple of weeks of the season. I mean, you can almost see it on them. They basically don't care, even though they do care, but they don't not really kind of care. I think it's the most interesting part to me is the West once again is clearly the better conference. I mean, when it's all done, you look at the playoff races in the West and how close it is, basically, 3 to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really, to me, I mean, what sticks out the most is how close the West is and the fact that the Lakers aren't going to make the freaking playoffs, and the Jordan-LeBron debate to me is over.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. But, I mean, I think in all of our minds, at least you, me, and Erich, that, like LeBron, we know what LeBron is, but I think the idea that he was better than Jordan, I think we saw arguments for it, but I don't think any of us really felt strongly enough that that was a really contested debate there. I think we're always going to think that Jordan is number one. And we always look at LeBron as a guy who maybe could be in that position, but he never really does anything to help himself in that case.
Oh, he doesn't. And then you see all this stuff about him off to the side of the bench, not being friends with teammates, and blah 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 blah. And you're like, I don't think a lot of that's true. I mean, LeBron seems like a pretty well-liked guy throughout the league, so I don't think all that's true. But there's definitely some type of distance between, him and some of that roster.
Mm-hmm. Well, that tends to happen when you advocate to the front office. Yeah, trade the entire team for Anthony Davis. Yeah, go ahead, trade him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but I mean, in all fairness, he's the one sitting off. It's not the team. It's not like he came to the middle. It's not like he came to the middle of things and everybody spread away. No, he's sitting all the way at the end of the bench. And leave it to Clyde Frazier to be the one to point that out, because I know you saw that clip with Frazier kind of calling him on it. So, and I agree with him on that one. If you're gonna be the guy considered to be the leader, you can't be doing things like that, especially on a nationally televised game like
that, or on a nationally fucking like Lakers.
Yeah, that's so. All right, well, I tell you what, I know you got to run in a few minutes here, and I had wanted to bring this up when Erich was on the show, but I want to get your perspective on this particular thing, because non-baseball fan, like you see things every now and then. And one thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show, Mike Trout signed a 4-year, $430 million contract extension earlier today, which is an insane contract, but Trout is the best player in the game right now, probably the best player of his generation. To me, I looked at that deal and I was like, yeah, that's right. That makes sense to me. Makes perfect sense. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. So they announced a bunch of rule changes in baseball last week. And the majority of them are rule changes that, in my opinion, I mean, they are what they are. Not crazy about them one way or another. I don't really think they have a negative impact on things, like the fact that there's no longer 2 trading deadlines in baseball. There's only one on July 31st. Roster size will expand a little bit next year. You don't have the September 1st call-ups where you have all 40 men on the roster called up to the big leagues. You only get 28, things like that. But the one rule change that I know I'm against and I know Erich is against, I really wanted to get your opinion on this, because it looks like this rule change is going to be implemented next year. And this is the rule change that a pitcher must face at least 3 batters per appearance unless he is removed due to injury or the half inning in which he is pitching in ending before 3 batters have come to the plate. Now, I don't like this rule change one bit, because you're taking away strategy from the managers. You're taking strategy away from the team. I know the idea of doing this is to kind of speed up the games, because you don't have the commercial breaks if you're going through 3 or 4 pitchers an inning. But I also feel that we live in a time where we have specialized pitchers. You have guys who come in just to face left-handed batters. You have guys who come in just to face right-handed batters. And over the last 20 years, you've seen the evolution of that. I feel by eliminating that strategy, you're taking jobs away from players who have been brought up believing that if you specialize in one thing, you'll be able to showcase that. And I also don't think this will really speed up the game, because you have some guys, lefty specialists, are great against left-handed batters, and then you put them against a right-handed batter, and they murder the whole thing. And I think at the end of the day, if you have a guy put in a position where he has to do something he's not able to do, it's going to lead to more of a blow-up in an inning, and it's going to lead to longer games as a result, even though that's the thing you're trying to avoid. But I want your opinion on this as more of a casual observer of the sport. You hear that a guy who comes into a game has to pitch to 3 batters an inning. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm all for it.
Really? Okay.
Speed it the hell up. I don't need to watch one guy come in, stand there, watch the ref, the manager go up, get another pitcher out there. Yeah, go to commercial break, come back, have them talk about that pitcher. He faces one batter, and the manager comes back out, and then you go to another commercial break, and the other guy's just jogging out to the field. So then you go to another commercial break because he's got to warm up, and then he faces another batter. I'm all for it. I get your points. I mean, I 100% get the idea of strategy and all that, and that's hence why you call me, or why I can be called, and I fall in the category of nothing more than a casual baseball fan. Because to me, I just want to watch a game be played. So I have no issues with it at all.
Okay. All right. Then I get your point. Obviously, you're the guy that baseball's catering to with this, and I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm just stating it for what it is. You're the one they're catering to on this because you're the one they want to watch the game in the long run. But Erich Tressler has made the show here. So Erich, how you doing tonight?
Good, but I guess I'm going to fall into that category too because I'm kind of on Dave's side a little bit with this one.
Oh,
I'm kind of over the one-and-done pitchers and the way that it's too much nowadays. You can almost have 27 pitchers in a game, and I agree with Dave that it slows the pace play down. I don't know if necessarily forcing them to face three batters is the answer, but I think it's at least a positive step in the right direction for trying to speed up pace of play. They had to try something. And this is at least a minor rule. So even if you're going to bring in a lefty, at least try to strategize then on how you're going to use that lefty. Maybe, if there are two lefty or a couple, batters in the lineup, that maybe you could face them against, in a row, then you try to work something out that way. I don't know. I don't think that
I just want to go on.
I don't think it's the worst.
I just want to go on record as saying that while he never said it was the worst, Erich has flip-flopped on this issue over the last 2 weeks. Because when we
I have, and I'll tell you why. Because as I'm getting more into it, I'm thinking more about it. The one thing I do wish is that it was a little bit faster. So I think that even though I was being a bit more of a purist the last time we spoke, I am going to have to call my so-and-so and flip-flopper on this issue and say that I think I'm leaning more towards the other way, and I think it's just to get more people involved, get more fans in the stands, get more people paying attention. Again, commercial break after commercial break, I can equate it almost to the end of a basketball game or a football game where the last 2 minutes seem to take an hour. Like, it doesn't need to take an hour. I'm all for it in all those sports, trying to revamp those things a little bit because I don't need the last 2 minutes of the game lasting as long as the first 40 minutes of the game. It blows my mind at times. So I think that, this is an almost a necessary change for baseball in a way. But again, I think there's something different they can do. I don't know if forcing them to face three batters is the right call. So I think that they still need to figure out what is right and how to speed up pace of play. But I think they had to try something. And the more I've thought about this in the last couple of weeks, Mike, the more I've kind of talked myself into the other way of thinking.
All right. Well, fair enough on that. We are at 9:40 right now. Dave, I know you got to get out of here, so I'm going to let you go here. Do you have any final thoughts before we let you go?
Can't wait to see you guys in the short period of time we have left. I'm very excited for that. Other than that, though, the one thing I'll just add in and kind of maybe let you guys feed off of this once I sign off. But, Mike, you kind of pointed out that it takes away from some of the strategy of the game. Well, at some point, you didn't always have your specialty players, and once you got those, it changed the strategy of the game. Same thing, the NBA didn't have a three-point line, and then they got the three-point line and changed the strategy of the game, and now the NBA is dominated by the three-point line, which has now, again, changed the strategy of the game. So kind of touching off of what Erich said, at all sports, if you want to last for a long period of time, have to evolve in some way, some form, some fashion. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be some crazy change to the game. There are people that want the NBA to install a 4-point line. Like, get the hell out of here. You don't need that. But, if you want to maybe make the court a little wider and push back the 3-point line or, little things like that, maybe have that conversation. In baseball, it's just trying to do something that's different. And if it doesn't work, maybe you don't make it 3 batters. Maybe you make it, X amount of pitches. So once they hit, whatever, 25 pitches, you can sub them out. Like maybe that's the next step. Instead of doing batters, it's pitches. Like, so you have, it's all, trial and error, but I think, as well as I do, when it's all said and done, some of the things that you didn't think you liked when they first made the change, you're maybe now a fan of.
Yeah.
So I just, I'll leave you guys with that. I'm so sorry, Eric, that I got to dip right when you get on here, but I literally just got home and I got to I haven't eaten dinner, or I haven't showered. I haven't done anything. So I got to kind of get to my stuff and get moving. But love doing this with you guys. Hope you guys have a great night. And again, look forward to seeing you guys really soon.
Yep, we will see.
Hey, real quick, Dave. March Madness starts tonight. I don't know. FDU already played the 16 seeds played tonight. The playing games are tonight, I should say, as I think it's formally called. If you're not watching, start watching this college basketball, March Madness. Just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I already did one like some bracket pool thing where you don't actually pick a bracket, you get numbers like a Super Bowl box pool. It's kind of hard to explain, but I already got that.
Sounds
got
interesting.
my invitation to my ESPN bracket challenge that I'll fill out tomorrow after the playing games tonight. So, national championship, though, I think Duke takes it. I'm just going to throw that out there now. If they can stay healthy, I don't think there's anybody that can stop Zion when it comes down to the final minutes of a tight game. And I hate saying it because I hate Duke. Go Tar Heels, but I think Duke's going to take it all.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, guys.
We will see you Saturday. Yep. All right. So just to kind of tie up what Dave was saying real quick. Dave brings up a valid point because there was a time where it wasn't part of the strategy. But here's the thing. I think when a rule changes like that and it's been around for 30 years, you have guys who have kind of adjusted to that rule, and you have people who are specialized to that particular way of doing things. And I think when you do this, listen, I'm not 100. I don't hate this rule. I just merely dislike the rule because I think in the end you're going to cost people jobs. It's like if you took away the three-point line. Well, you're taking away jobs from players who specialize in the three-pointer. And when you don't have that, you have guys who really, that's their main thing, that just aren't going to be of any use to their team. So that's my only thing. We'll see how it works, though. We still have a year before it gets implemented. So there's that. But we only got about 5.5 minutes left here. So 2 things to bring up real quick, baseball-wise. Mike Trout, 12 years, $430 million. I don't know about you. I'm fine with that for Mike Trout. Best player in the sport.
Overpaid, but absolutely worth it. He is the best player in the sport. He's probably, when all is said and done, going to put up some of the best numbers the game's ever seen. I mean, through his age 26 season, he has the best WAR of all time. His stats are unbelievable. I mean, he's already in his first 6 seasons, won 2 or 3 MVPs.
I think 2. I'm sorry. I think he's won 2 of them, but he's been in the top 5 in like 2 others besides that.
And he's just, great at all facets of the game. He has speed. He has strength. He has, everything you would want in a player. He steals bases. He hits home runs. He plays hard. He works hard. He's a good teammate. Like, you haven't heard anything bad. He's never, he's one of these guys, and I hate to use this reference, but I'm going to use it. He's Jeter-esque in the fact that you don't hear about him off the field. You don't hear bad stories. You don't hear, even occasionally you'd hear something about Harper partying somewhere or doing something. You don't hear anything about Mike Trout.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he does everything the way that you would want your franchise player to be, and you're still only taking him to age 38. So it's not even like you're paying him into his 40s. So 12-year deal for Mike Trout. Do I think that he's going to be worth that kind of money come year 10, 11, 12, even maybe 9, 10, 11, 12? Probably not. He's probably not going to be a $35 million a year player, or $36 million a year player a year. But these first 8 years you're going to get out of them are going to be some special years. And if you could put some players around them, they boosted their farm system. I think they're up to like 7th in baseball, I read the other day. They still have Shohei Ohtani. They have some pieces there that they might be able to turn it around quick. And a guy like Trout's a great guy as a centerpiece. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's a great draw, too. Who wouldn't want to come play with him? So, and apparently I think that something happened where ownership now is a little more free to spend a little bit more money. I forget the circumstance as to why, but they are, I think, open to spending a little more in the future if need be to put a team around him. So when he heard all that, I think he was ready to make it his destination. Plus, now it takes it off the table. Now it's not like, oh, who's going to get, now there's no speculation, there's no media, because that's what was going to happen. After Machado and Harper, he was the next one that they were going to be like, where's Trout going?
Mm-hmm. And I'm very happy we don't have to deal with that now. Very happy. So, yeah, but it looks like, for at least the majority of the league, that's the way things go. Most of these guys don't wind up hitting free agency. So I think your Machados, your Harpers, they have wound up being kind of the anomalies now because everybody else seems to wind up getting locked up before free agency because, what you've seen the last couple of years, writing's on the wall, man. The marketed free agency doesn't wind up being as plentiful as opposed to just re-signing with your team. So there's that. All right, so we got a minute and a half here left. Erich, I do thank you for coming on here. Are you getting cold feet yet, buddy? You got 4 days left. Are we going to find out that all of a sudden you took off one morning in your car and you ran to Vegas or something and we never hear from you again?
No, you don't got to worry about any of that. I'm not going anywhere. I'm ready. I'm as ready as I'm going to get, my friend. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I really am so overwhelmed. I really am, but I'm overwhelmed with joy. I think it's going to be pretty awesome, and I'm really really excited.
Sounds good. All right, man. Your pick for who wins the tournament. Who's the national champion when all is said and done?
I'm not going to bet against him right now. He's too good. He's pretty special to watch right now. I'm going with Duke and Zion. So Zion stays healthy. I don't even think they need Barrett. I think that he's a big piece, but I'm on the Zion bandwagon right now. After watching him come back and play, I watched him in the ACC tournament, and he was an absolute manimal. He was, he was fun to watch. He really was. So, his first game back after the injury, he went 13 for 13 from the floor.
That's amazing. All right, man. So that's going to do it for us here for tonight. For Erich Tressler, I am Mike Aglioloro. Thank y'all for listening. We will see y'all next week. And Erich,